Alright, in today's video we're going to be talking about how to fix a loose toilet. So when you sit down you kind of get the sways. So I've never done this before. The reason I'm making this video is to just show you guys that if you have some type of confidence that you can go about fixing it yourself rather than hiring a plumber. Just to install a new toilet it's about $500. So imagine how much it would cost for them to come out and, tell you need to start replacing all these things. So in this video, we're going to go over the steps and hopefully we could figure it out ourselves. All right, so step one, you want to obviously drain the toilet of all the water. You want to find the on and off, the water supply, which usually it's on the left side of the toilet. You could see over there. You're going to want to turn it off. Sometimes the valve does get stuck. Right now it's loose. If it does get stuck, you could hook a screwdriver up to here and you want to work it back and forth, and that'll help the O-ring from cracking. So we're going to turn it all the way off. That's good. And then we're going to flush the toilet as many times as it'll let us. And you can see what that's doing is it's draining the water in the tank. We're not going to be able to drain all the water, but we'll be able to drain enough. Okay, so that's all it'll let us do. Next thing we're going to do is on each side of the bowl, you're going to see a bolt. Usually the best option is an open-end wrench, but if you have some type of socket that's a deep-end socket, you can hook it up to here. So we're going to come back and we're going to take off one, and right on the other side, we're going to take off the other. Alright, we're back. We removed both bolts. You have one here, and you have an identical one on the other side. Before we go and lift that toilet straight up, we need to remove the water supply line. Make sure you have a bucket ready. Sometimes it does leak, sometimes it doesn't. You could either remove it straight from here, or you can remove it up here, but because I don't have a wrench on me at the moment, I'm going to remove it from here. Okay. Alright, now we're going to come back, we're going to lift the toilet straight up. The reason I say straight up is because you have bolts right here coming right out. You don't want to scratch the toilet, you don't want to break it. This is porcelain, so it does snap very easily. Okay, so I'm going to have another person help me, and we're going to lift it straight up and put it right on the side. Cool. All right. So we remove the toilet. This is the wax ring, or what's left of it. And again, remember I have no experience doing this, but you don't really need that much common knowledge. So I see the bolts went in here. I'm going to tilt the toilet to the side. See what's on the bottom here. Try to remove it from the back. Okay. So I have this piece right here, which does not look broken. Now I have to figure out how this piece connects to here. It looks like there's some screws on here, so I'm assuming that somehow this piece gets screwed onto here, and for some reason there weren't any screws. I see a broken bolt here. So most likely I'm going to go to Home Depot. I'm going to take this piece once I clean it up. I know I'm going to need a wax ring. You always need, anytime you work on the toilet and you take it off, you break the seal, get a new wax ring. They're very cheap. And most likely I'm going to need this beat up piece, and I know I'm going to have to drill into the cement. So I'm going to go to Home Depot, take both pieces, take some pictures, tell them what you're working with, what was happening, and I guarantee when we come back we'll have some parts and we'll see how we could do it. Okay, so we're back from the Home Depot. We got a wax ring. They're very cheap, so I got a thicker one and a regular standard ring. Now for the bolts for the toilet. As you guys saw in the video, when I lifted the toilet, this part was stuck to the bottom of the toilet, meaning there were no more bolts holding this to the ground, so technically the toilet could have just fell right over. This should be secured to the ground this way. This should be drilled into the ground. You have 4 bolt holes. And then you guys remember in the video, the toilet goes right on top, gets secured with 2 bolts. If you look very closely, you could see this side is the back. This side would be the front. So now when I went to the Home Depot, I talked to the guy. He said these are very good. They're called concrete anchors. That's really all he told me. So I went and I started looking at different sizes. This size goes right through perfectly. So you're gonna have to grab a couple ones, see what size works for you. I'm sure that these are universal, but just in case, grab a couple different sizes, line them up before you get home. On the package itself, it tells you exactly what size drill bit you need. If you get a drill bit that's too wide, these will just fall right through the hole and have no, it won't secure at all. So you could see what drill bit we need right here, and you can see the drill bit we got. Just a little bit longer, but that's okay. All right, so now we're gonna go and drill into the cement. All right, so we're ready to drill into the cement. As you put this down, you see the 2 bolts that are gonna go into the toilet. Make sure they're even. You don't want it to be lopsided. So once we made sure that that's even, we're gonna start drilling. Make sure your drill is on the hammer setting because we're drilling into cement. All right, a little trick to make sure you drill deep enough. Take the drill bit, take the screw, line it up, take a little Sharpie and put a little notch. I didn't do that, but I didn't have a Sharpie, so you know exactly when to stop drilling. But I could see from the dust on the drill bit that that hole is fine. So I'm just gonna start drilling the next 2 holes and then we'll go to the next part of the video. All right, so now we have the holes drilled. We put the bolts in and now I'm gonna secure them in. I'm using a drill. You don't have to. You could use a screwdriver or a bolt or a socket. Before I completely tighten this one, I'm gonna snug them all up. If I completely tighten this one, I'm gonna get an uneven gasket here. So I'm just gonna get them nice and snug before I get them all down as hard as they can go. You could see when I did that, it completely flattened up. If I had this one all the way tightened, it would have bent it.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna use the extra wide wax ring. You can see in the picture how it goes. So you're gonna see this little flange, this little gasket right there, lines up here. You don't wanna put it here first. You wanna peel the plastic back, turn the toilet to the side, and attach it to the toilet. Make sure it's in the center. Then we're gonna lift the toilet, 2 people, line it up with these bolts, and we're gonna sit on the toilet, shake back and forth until it nicely compresses down before we tighten up those bolts. So we'll be right back. All right, so now you see we lifted the toilet, 2 people, and we lined it up with these bolts. Now you can see they're sticking through the toilet. We used that extra wide wax ring. Don't know if it was a good idea or bad yet, because I have a lot of excess play, but as I'm sitting down and rocking, I could feel that toilet getting further and further towards the ground. So that's what you want to do. You want to put your body weight, shift it left to right, and work it down. As it warms up, and as you put more weight, it's going to fall down into place. We'll come right back. All right, so we have the toilet on, the wax ring's installed. Now the hardest part of all. Not labor intensive, but you have to be very careful when you tighten down these nuts. When you tighten down these nuts, this is porcelain. So if you tighten it too much, it'll literally explode. I don't want to scare you guys, but I want to let you know. So keep in mind right now we have about a ½ inch underneath here. That's because of the wax ring. As we tighten it, it's going to go a little bit down. So a trick is get them nice and snug. Come back the next day and finish it. That way, over time, it settles in. Okay? All right, so remember, we snugged them up. You could see already, little to no play, and that's with just snugging them up. So over time, probably tomorrow, same time tomorrow, I'm gonna come back, I'll leave this out, I'll give them a final tighten, and that's it. A job well done. We had no idea how to do it. We went along and we figured it out. So that's it. Good luck.